Hi, this is Dave Feinlieb with another episode of Big Data TV brought to you by BigDataLandscape.com. And today I'm speaking with Anil Kaul of AbsolutData. Anil is the CEO of AbsolutData, and we're going to be talking a little about the company and what you do. So why don't we start with that? Tell us a little about your company.
Sure. We are basically an analytics services company, and we've been providing analytics services to a number of Fortune 1000 companies for the last about 10 years or so. And certainly with the advent of big data, one of the areas where we focus on and have been doing some fairly pioneering work has been with big data. Our history is in the marketing space, and big data has certainly affected the marketing space in a big way. So, given our experience working with social media data, with mobile data, and a lot of other kinds of data, it was a natural progression for us as a company to start doing analytics in the big data space as well.
Okay, makes sense. What's your background?
My background is actually very much analytics. I have a PhD in marketing, but it was called quantitative marketing at that time, but it's basically marketing analytics. And after that, I worked with a consulting company, McKinsey, as part of their marketing science team, which is very similar to the data scientist work that we have. Though I've also done a lot of marketing research piece along with that because and again, that's essentially been my background. I'm one of the founders of AbsolutData, and we've been doing this for about 10 plus years now.
Okay, great. Great. So, who buys your product, and specifically, what does the product do?
Yeah, so we don't have a product per se. We have a number of services that we work with our clients, and the focus that we have for AbsolutData is helping our clients become more savvy and successful in using analytics to take decisions.
Mm.
Certainly, big data analytics is a big part of it, but we do a lot of traditional analytics as well. So our focus is, helping them build capabilities that they might either not have internally, or they might decide not to build those capabilities internally. So that's the overall big story of what we do.
And
Now,
does that mean helping them purchase the right software, or does that mean actually running the analytics for them?
it means running the analytics for them. So, we are users of the tools and
Mm.
software for analytics that exists out there.
Yeah.
And our focus tends to be on asking, what are the business questions you're trying to answer? And then our teams figure out how could analytics be leveraged to answer those business questions, and then actually helping them answer those business questions.
Okay, great. And what are some of the kinds of questions that you've answered for your clients?
They usually fall into, and I'll focus more on the marketing side right now. They usually fall into two big areas. One is customer analytics. The question is, tell me who my customers are, tell me about their behaviors, tell me when are they going to attrition, when they're going to buy another product, help me figure that out. So it's a lot of predictions around that.
Yeah.
Second piece tends to be around marketing effectiveness. I'm spending a lot of money on marketing programs. I need to understand what is working and what is not. I'll
The age old marketing question.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, I'll just share an example from just this morning. I had a call with a client who said, we launched this new product and we spent a lot of money in the launch and we're not seeing the sales move. So can you guys help us figure out what is happening? So, in their case, the issue is maybe it's distribution, maybe it's their advertising. So now we will do some analytics with the data that they provide us to help them understand that particular part.
Great, great. And what kinds of data do they typically provide you with?
So they provide us with sales data, first of all. Second, they would provide us with a lot of marketing related data. So it could be, if there's a lot of online marketing happening, we will have information about their different campaigns they have run, what's been the response to those campaigns. If they're doing TV advertising, we would have a lot of information about the various TV ads they've run, what are the GRPs. Similarly, if there's promotion that's been done, then we'd have information about the promotion. And typically, the information that we get in a big data sense in a way, they tend to be very different formats coming from, different areas.
Yeah.
And second is, usually you don't find a lot of direct linkage. In the online space, a lot of companies are very good at understanding what is the impact of search, and they optimize search very well. The big question becomes, that you're running this TV campaign or you're running an email campaign, that has an impact on search as well. How do I measure the indirect impact? How do I measure the multi-touch part of online? And that is where our skills and capabilities come in, because that is much more complicated and does require some more thinking and skills to do that.
Makes sense. Now we hear a lot about companies using Facebook and Twitter and other forms of social media in addition to existing forms of marketing. What are you seeing in those areas?
I think the two things that I've noticed. One is everybody's jumped onto that. Which is they're all using it. They're all doing it, and to an extent experimenting with it. The second thing that I'm noticing is a lot of people, particularly in the more established, bigger companies, have started asking questions. What is the incremental value that I get out of this thing? So Facebook is a good example. We have a client who's got a fairly high number, in terms of Facebook likes. And the question they have is it just that people who like me are coming and liking me on Facebook? Or am I getting some incremental value because of my Facebook page? Because if it is people who like me coming on Facebook page, then, I certainly need to be doing some certain things with them, which is these are my loyal customers.
Right.
And I take care of them. But at the same time, I need to know, is it that somebody who is like an output of what I'm doing outside, or by liking me, now they're going to do certain things that they would not have done if they didn't like me. So these are the kind of, sometimes hard questions people are asking, particularly because right now, I don't think anyone, or at least that I know of, anyone who's figured out a good answer to these things. So we are working with our clients to figure that out. Similar questions are coming from the mobile data. Like people are doing a lot of activities on their cell phones. And as we know, the screen size of the cell phone isn't as big as on the laptop. So what does that mean for me? What does that mean for my future advertising strategy? All of those questions.
Great stuff. Great stuff. So spend a minute talking about your customer base and, if you can, your revenues, your plans for growth of the company.
Okay. Our customer base tends to be, fairly broad. We have about 45 customers now with whom we work on a regular basis. And again, starts with, Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 companies, I should say. But we also do work with smaller companies, some companies, in fact, including one company that's just started 6 months back. So we have a fairly broad range of customers that we work with. And again, the way I look at it is we tend to work with companies that are on the forefront of the analytics space, which is people or companies that are utilizing analytics to develop certain strategic advantage versus their competition. That's our customer base. It is mostly US based, but we do have a fairly good representation of international customers as well. So we have customers in Europe, we have customers in Latin America, in Asia Pacific, and South America. So in that sense, a pretty good base outside of the US as well. In terms of our revenue base, again, revenue is a number that we don't disclose, but I can certainly give you a range. We are somewhere in the 10 to 50 million range.
Great.
We have been growing pretty fast in the last 3 years, particularly with 40% to 50% growth at least every year.
Wow.
And that's been part of this whole analytics revolution that is sweeping through the entire business world. We did take some external funding recently. We took some private equity funding from Fidelity Growth Partners, which is the private equity arm of the big Fidelity mutual fund organization. So the 20 million that we raised is going to really help us expand our services and expand our outreach. One of the things that we had been not able to do earlier was have the amount of outreach that we could do to our customers or potential customers. Second is expand the services that we provide. These days, everyone who has data is asking this question: what should I be doing with the data that I have? And I want us to be the company that helps them answer that question.
That's great. Well, congratulations on the growth and the funding. That's great news.
Thank you.
So let's spend a moment talking about some of the challenges customers face with big data and some of your insights for the next few years when it comes to big data and analytics.
Great. I think, big data, even though if you go by press reports, looks like something that's already over, is actually in very much of an infancy stage. It is going through a stage where a lot of people are realizing the potential of big data, but they haven't seen it as yet. It's like a football player in high school right now. Everybody's talking about you.
Right.
But the potential still lies
ahead
in the future. So you have a lot of people trying to recruit you, but you still need to learn a lot about the game. You need to figure out a lot of things. And whether you will eventually become the NFL player we think you will take a little while to get there. So that's one piece. The second piece that is happening is that there is a lot of development happening on the infrastructure and technology front right now. So companies, if you look at funding, for example, are being funded in the basic infrastructure of big data. Similarly, we have certain clients who have invested in Hadoop, and we invested in a lot of tools that work around big data to set up the stacks, as they get called right now, the technology stacks for doing analysis with big data. But some companies are now going to the second stage, which as somebody who's seen technology go through various phases, was something that we expected, is saying, okay, I invested in all of this. What's the value that I'm getting out of it? What is that I'm going to be doing different as a company based on this? So some people have started going through the second round of any technology, which is disappointment, and saying, I'm not getting any value out of it. And I think that is expected, because when you in fact invest in infrastructure, you're not getting any value. The value comes once you start asking the business questions that can be used, that can be answered using this infrastructure. So I think that is where some of the companies have started coming in. And, for us as an analytics company, that's the point where we start getting excited. Because, for us to be productive with a client, we need that technology infrastructure. So all the technology investments are a great thing for us. They're a great friend of ours. Because as a company invests in the technology, they then need to work with somebody who convert, so the way it would work is somebody's going to ask a business question. Then someone needs to be converting that business question into an analytics question. The analytics question then can be further converted into what is the data that we need. So once those two things have been decided, the execution piece begins, where you have to go and interact with the data infrastructure and pull out the data that is needed, conduct the analysis, create and get the analytics answer, then convert that analytics answer into a business answer. Right, so that is the middle piece is what I've seen is still missing at many clients, and to me, it's a natural evolution of the industry and the technology where you will be doing all of it. One other thing that I find very interesting is, I've actually come across a few people now at various conferences and so on, where they're saying machines will take over everything.
Right.
You marketing people don't have much of a future because machines will make decisions. And we worked with data for a long time, and one of the things I will tell you is more data is not always good. More data can actually mean bad predictions, believe it or not. And I'll tell you why that happens. Because as you get more data, you pick up a lot of false correlations. And when you pick up false correlations, your prediction model starts becoming worse and worse. And hence, you need a human being to look at the correlations and the relationships that your machines are picking up to figure out whether they make sense or not. In fact, when we do modeling, one of our biggest challenges for training our team is exactly that. We would have a novice modeling person will come back with this great model which shows sales get affected by something that has no relationship with sales. And that's the business question we ask. Hey, we need to make sure that the variables that are going into the prediction model have something to do with what is eventually happening, because otherwise it's a false correlation. And I am afraid that, with so much data being available
Hmm.
and with so much strong computing power being available, people are going to pick up a lot of false relationships where you will find that big data is actually creating worse predictions rather than better predictions.
Interesting. Very interesting insights. Well, Anil, thanks so much for being on Big Data TV. It's been a real pleasure talking with you and learning about absolute data, and it's been great having you on the show.
Great, Dave. Really appreciate the opportunity, and more than that, appreciate the interesting questions that you asked.
Okay, thanks again.
Thank you.